It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the Morning Star Drive, you know.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Wednesday, May 11th, and this is the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. We're on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So what is happening on this wonderful Wednesday? We've got current news from around the world, the Tuesday Proverbs word study, and of course we have Danny's Money with Daniel Baker over there in Korea. All right, everyone, how's it going? It is Wednesday. It is the middle of the week. So after today, we go into the second half, and I'm sure everyone is excited and happy to get into the last end of the work week. Just thankful for all of you joining us here on the Morning Star Drive and looking forward to some head leader preaching tonight. So let's start the day well with today's show. So I just want to remind everyone, keep liking and commenting, not for the sake of growing this channel. It's more for building a community for this member channel. Because, you know, for this channel, it's only for members anyways. So let's build the community as much as we can. Leave your likes and comments too. Would love to hear what you guys are going through. So for me, we're already getting into we're already in the second week of May, and I think I only have 3 videos left. And for those of you guys don't know, before I left Malaysia, which was last August, I think it was in July, like the end of July, I went to immigration in Malaysia to get an extension. They extended my visa for 30 days so I can get my second vaccination. And they gave me 30 days, and I thought to myself, you know what, I got to prepare, right? Because my YouTube channel, I'm not going to have a studio or anything else like that. And what happened was I had 30 days, and in basically 29 days, I was able to make 40 videos. And this is why when people are wondering, like, hey, this guy's in Canada, but when you look at the videos that he's making or he's putting out on his YouTube channel, they're all still in the same studio in Malaysia. So some people are asking, like, did he actually bring his studio to Canada? And the answer is no. Before I left, I made 40 videos, and we put out one a week. That's 40 weeks of video, and it's going to end this month. So I'm just like, man, I'm not going to be back in Malaysia like this month or next month. So what am I going to do? I got to start making more videos now. And it's going to have to be, you know, part of my my schedule. Now, I should have been doing this a lot earlier, but my 40 videos are going to be ending very, very soon. So maybe I might have to do another, what would you call it? I'd have to do another condition and make another 40 videos in 30 days or something like that. But I really need to start making more videos. So let's see what happens here. And, I think one of the things that I have been really working on lately, and I've kind of been more inspired by this, like I've loved it here being at home for the last 5 months. It's been really nice. And it's been, like I told you guys the other day, it's been 17 years since our whole family's been together for Christmas, New Year's, my mom's birthday, and then at the end of this month is my dad's birthday and my brother's birthday. So it's going to be 17 years since we've all been able to celebrate like this. So I am grateful to God that I'm able to have this opportunity to be with my family. And but I do also need to understand that, you know, this is not my life. Like I can't live like this. Like honestly, living at my parents' house and just doing the podcast and such, I got to run. So I am in contact with some other countries and just starting to get some ideas of what I can be doing in the future. So possibly, I don't know, I'm thinking to myself that I can be spending like half my year in one country, half the year in another country or something along that line. So I'm working on this right now. So please pray for me. But I will tell you guys this. These podcasts will not stop. Whatever country I go to, this podcast is probably one of my favorite things that I like to do. I like this even more than my newcomer channel, The Espresso with Sky. This one is more comfortable to me, talking about the word, you know, just being able to talk to members, you know, at a different level. So that's something that I'm really, really thinking about at this moment too. But, you know, it's something that I hope that I can find a new footing. It's been like 9 months, like, you know, enough time to have a baby, right? It's been 9 months since I've been away from actually running. It was like the end of August that I left Malaysia, and I didn't really have a mission, but I'm dying to get back into the field right now. But either way, that's kind of what thoughts are in my head right now at this moment. Either way, tomorrow night we have a new video on Espresso with Sky. I think one of my last 3 videos. Why does God keep repeating things in the Bible? Which is a quite interesting one. And Sunseem's talked about this a lot, so I hope you guys will really enjoy that one there. And of course, remember, don't forget, this week's Sunday edition was Ines Hing from Germany. And next week, we'll be heading to Malaysia to meet another member from around the world. So I hope that you guys will continuously enjoy that time. And thank you so much for all you guys supporting these channels on Patreon. Okay, so let's get into today's featured artist of the day. We're going to get some member artists from around the world. And we have a great one here, Juice Aiden Verdi from New Zealand. I told you I would get this for you guys. She's going to give an amazing intro on why and how she made the song Busy Bee. What's the meaning behind it? And so that's going to be like the feature of today for sure. And then we'll have Kuma-chung from Japan with Open My Eyes. And then we'll end things off with Zeniac from the Paper Music Associates in Korea with Star Launcher.
Hi Morning Star Drive, this is Juice or Aiden Verity as you'll find me on public channels. I wrote the song Busy Bee about a time when I felt overwhelmed by the physical and spiritual work I needed to do. We just started 116 prayer. So although I was praying diligently, I still felt like everyone else is being more spiritual than me and that I'm too caught up in my physical work. So it felt like I'm the one drowning in the water. But at the same time, I'm also on the boat. I'm in a position where I need to help others and I have the rope. I need to throw that to myself as well. So it was a time of feeling both like a sheep, diligently following the Lord, but also like a goat. And through that, I realized, many times there might be a moment where our emotions dip, but we can always bring ourselves out of that. We know what the answer is already, prayer and the word, clinging to the Lord. So as we go around as busy bees, diligently carrying out the Lord's work, we also need to remember to do it with joy, right? Do it together with the Trinity. Their eyes are always watching over us, even when it's difficult, even when it gets colder, as you'll find in the lyrics. So I hope you can relate to this and that it gives you some hope when you go through any difficulties in your life of faith.
The bumbling bee is too busy to cry, buzzing away, looking for a flower to duck and hide, a worker or a queen. Sometimes I feel like it's the same thing, a princess asleep on a pea, put off by the smallest of sufferings, but I'm still working on me. If I'm honest, I feel so strange, a fish without water, a cranium without a brain, looking so good for the cameras, but feeling so very average. Where else can I go? There's only one river where living water flows. I already know the answer, the problem is throwing my own rope. When I'm in the water and all the both the following sheep and also the goat. I'm in the water and all the both the following sheep and also the goat. If I'm honest, I like routine, like to go swimming and slip in cups of tea, like seeing blanks in my schedule and filling them with my own woes. Now I'm overthrown and all around me are the people who can't do wrong. I smile and try to let it go. The problem is giving myself hope. To find a mountain where I can scream. I need a place to do my own thing. I need a cave where I can sing and it's funny. There's no one to judge me and I can try this way or that. I Don't have to worry about falling flat. But there's work to do. Is this even work too? Who can decide? Is it me? Is it you? Is it God? How far would I go if I could? I go far slower than I should. I'm only as good as how much I produce. Squeeze on my brain and pour out the juice. As much as I grind my nose in the ground, but nobody knows, they don't notice I'm down. I haven't been busy enough. I'm floating too far, too far. The bumbling bee is too busy to cry, buzzing away, looking for a flower to tuck and hide, a worker or a queen. Sometimes I feel like it's the same thing, a princess asleep on a pea, poured off by the swells of sufferings, but I'm still working on me.
Open the eyes, open the door, open my heart, 見心探して Open the eyes, open the door, open my heart, 未来照らす my way。 揺れないで go、 揺れないで go、 どんな困難迫害が来ても動じない強い信仰を持って立ち向かおう。ファミリーで go、 ファミリーで go、 全ての人を受け入れられる家族のような温かさを持ってゆこう。主の御心ファーストで言うと、いつも主の心情と共に主の言葉を最優先にして動き出そう、伝えよう。御言葉を実践し挑戦してナンバーワンを目指してゆこう。全ての個性才能を生かし挑戦しよう、主役になろう。伝えたい I'm happy, I'm happy、 新しく You are shining, You are shining、 伝えたい I'm happy, I'm happy、 新しく You are shining, You are shining。 オープンでこう、オープンでこう、地域や社会の目線に立ち発展に積極的に貢献しよう。近づいてこう、近づいてこう、全ての世代と距離を近く親しく接したならは僕をなそう。縛られてる心を捨ててこう、新しい取り組みをしよう。主の言葉で心を燃やして動き出そう、どんどんチャレンジしよう。家族のような温かさで愛に満ちた教会しよう。 CGM オープンの先駆者として強みを生かし大胆になろう。伝えたい I'm happy, I'm happy、 新しく You are shining, You are shining、 伝えたい I'm happy, I'm happy、 新しく You are shining, You are shining。 主の御言葉に出
し挑戦してナンバーワンを目指してゆこう全ての個性才能生かし挑戦しよう主役になろう Open the eyes Open the door Open my heart 見たころ探して Open the eyes Open the door Open my heart 未来照らす my way
A decade has passed by the day you declared the farewell. At that time you told us what true happiness should be. Unknown omega star appeared along the axis of space and time. Welcome back and stay for a new language of eternity. On a golden mega structure built, you put all the worlds, let there be light. In a moment of a celestial miracle. Do you recognize me? You've waited for me. I'm right here. I remember you calling my name. Time for me to say nice to see A billion stars were fired from the temple you missed for so long. Collisions occur greatly from now on. Get ready for a rendezvous. I see the blue shifted light from you. In a moment of a celestial miracle. Do you recognize me? You've waited for me. I'm right here. I remember you calling my name. Time for me to say nice to see again. The day has come at last. It is not a dream. A decade could never make you old. So take off and fly through the sky with the golden fractals. Oh, it's revelation. We will synchronize with those who prayed for us. Our dominant. We know your love's always the same. Time for us to cry out. We're right here for you.
And that is Xeniac from PMA in Korea with Star Launcher. Before that was Kumachang from Japan with Open My Eyes, and he did make that song for the opening of the new church building that they bought over there in Japan. I believe that was last year. And of course, we had the feature artist of the day. That is Juice Aiden Verity from New Zealand, and that song was Busy Bee, and a great intro to it. And I think that a lot of people can relate to what she was saying, and this song becomes even more meaningful as we hear it here. So hope you guys really enjoyed that time of listening to member artists from around the world. All right, so let's get into current news. What is going on in the world? And we watch the news for the same three reasons that Sunsteam talks about. Number one, we need to see what God is doing in the world. Number two, we need to be able to see and report and pray to God about what is happening. And of course, last but not least, we need to comfort God's heart in those terrible things that are happening also. So let's begin first with the Russia-Ukraine crisis. What is going on over the last 24 hours? Now, the Ukrainian port of Odessa has been hit by missile strikes. One person was killed, 5 injured when a shopping center and a depot were hit, Ukraine's armed forces say. President Zelensky warns Russia's blockade of his country's Black Sea ports threatens global food supplies. And European Council President Charles Michel, who was forced to take shelter as he visited Odessa, warns that badly needed supplies are stuck. Thousands more civilians have died in Ukraine during the war than previously estimated, the UN Human Rights Monitoring Mission in the country says. Meanwhile, Russian forces backed by tanks are conducting storming operations at Mariupol's Azovstal plant. According to Ukraine's defense ministry, there are more than 1,000 troops trapped in the plant, including hundreds who are injured, the Ukrainian deputy PM says. Also, the bodies of 44 civilians found as the battle for Izium rages on. Bodies of 44 civilians have been found in the rubble of a collapsed building in the Ukrainian city of Izium as the battle for control of the area rages. The 5-story building collapsed in March as residents hid in the basement from Russian shelling, but rescuers have only just been able to reach the building, one local official told the BBC. And there are fears the death toll could rise further as another building in the same street was also targeted. Russia seized control of Izium on April 1st, and troops have occupied the city since. Now, Izium, known as a gateway to the Donbass, is part of Ukraine's old coal and steel producing region and a key city for the Russian military. However, officials say Ukrainian troops are making gains in the region and stopping any further Russian advances. There was also another report that Russian forces are not currently conducting active offensive actions because the Ukrainian forces are defending pretty well. And it's also added that they were failing to move forward to other targets away from the city. So it is good that Ukraine is holding them off pretty well, but we're not sure how long they can hold off. Because if you think about even Mariupol, you have like 1,000 soldiers, many of them already injured, stuck in one place, and they're just shelling the place until everyone dies or they actually give up. So we'll see what happens there too. There is a bid for the Ukraine to join the European Union. However, Emmanuel Macron, president of France, says it'll take decades, right? So it says, basically said it'll take decades for the Ukraine to be accepted into the European Union. Macron said this in a speech to EU's parliament in Strasbourg. And he instead suggested Ukraine could join a parallel European community while it waited a decision. So this would allow non-EU members to join Europe's security architecture in other ways. And his words came as fierce fighting continued in the eastern Donbass region where Russia is trying to make gains. A senior U.S. defense official characterized the Russian advance as a single-digit kilometer kind of progress. Ukrainian leader in the Luhansk region said serious battles were taking place. Mr. Macron said a parallel European community should be considered instead, rather than suspending the EU's strict membership criteria to fast-track Ukraine's application. And he said it would be a way of anchoring countries which are geographically in Europe and share the same values. And his comments came shortly after European Commissioner President Ursula von der Leyen announced the EU's executive would be publishing its initial opinion on Ukraine's bid for membership in June. So Kyiv officials confirmed on Monday that Ukraine had submitted the second part of its EU membership application to Brussels, and it normally takes years for countries to negotiate EU membership, with candidates having to prove that they meet multiple criteria, from respecting democracy and the rule of law to having a robust enough economy. So Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has suggested the EU use a special procedure to grant Ukraine immediate membership of the bloc, but this has not happened. Later on Monday, the French president made his first foreign visit since re-election to Berlin for talks with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz on the EU's response to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So that is kind of what is happening right now around this situation with Russia and Ukraine. Let's move over to the Philippines with the elections going on. And it looks like we're poised to have a winner. And it's most likely going to be Bongbong Marcos Jr. And he's poised to win in a landslide. So Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr., son of a former Philippines dictator, is headed for a landslide win in the country's presidential race, according to partial and preliminary results. The 64-year-old senator has so far won 56% of the vote, compared to only 28% of his rival, Lenny Robredo. Mr. Marcos' victory would return his family to power 36 years after they were ousted by a popular revolution. Critics allege his campaign was fueled by misinformation, which he denies. So turnout on voting day was high, and previous elections in the country have largely been ruled to be fair. Isolated incidents of violence, including the shooting of 3 people near a polling station, were not reflected widely across the country. But the BBC also reported in Manila, and they said that there are lingering questions about broken machines at polling stations and videos allegedly showing vote buying. Opinion polls in the run-up to the election put Mr. Marcos Jr. ahead of his nearest rival, Ms. Robredo, by dozens of percentage points. And critics say that this was the result of Mr. Marcos Jr.'s consistently painting his father's rule as a golden age for the Philippines, whitewashing a period of rampant corruption and widespread poverty. So how bad was it for his father, right? His father, Ferdinand Marcos, who became president in 1965, imposed martial law in 1972 and presided over a brutal regime which saw thousands of dissenters and critics jailed and killed. And of course, his father, who died in 1989, and his wife, Imelda, they stole an estimated $10 billion from the Philippines' coffers, becoming infamous examples of public graft. And they ran away to the States after that. And they were only able to recover like 40% of it. So it is highly suspect not suspect. This is what his parents did. But it looks like the people have voted him back into office. So we'll see what happens with this. Hopefully this is something that has been prayed for and that God's will has come back, right? Well, hopefully this is God's will, right? Last but not least, we have abortion protests. So we talked about this leak happening last week from the Supreme Court that in the draft it said that they were gonna turn Roe v. Wade, right? But now, because of that leak, security is now tightened around the court justices. So U.S. law enforcement agencies are beefing up security for Supreme Court justices after a leak suggested they may overturn legalized abortion. The U.S. Marshal Service said on Monday it was helping the agencies normally tasked with the judge's protection. A protest was held on Monday night at Justice Samuel Alito's house in Alexandria, Virginia. Activists chanted, "Abort the court." Rallies were held outside the homes of 2 other justices this weekend. On Saturday night, a group of about 100 people marched from the homes of Justice Brett Kavanaugh to Chief Justice John Roberts' house nearby in Chevy Chase, Maryland. So, a lot of people were shut down. There's a group called Shut Down DC. It was a left-wing group behind Monday's demonstrations outside Justice Alito's house. And they said what the plan was to hold a moment of silence for the rights we know are ours. So separately, an anti-abortion center suffered an arson attack on Sunday. And on Monday, the U.S. Senate unanimously passed a bill that would provide police protection to the immediate families of the 9 Supreme Court justices and the other officers of the court, if deemed necessary by the Marshal Service. The bill will still need to go before the U.S. House of Representatives, but most likely that will pass through. And the White House said earlier on Monday that demonstrations should never include violence, threats, or vandalism. On Monday, the U.S. Marshal Service announced it was helping the police agencies normally tasked with the security of the Supreme Court 9 justices. And it's in response to such, there's people protesting outside of their homes. Right? So this draft opinion that was leaked last week suggests a majority of the Supreme Court would overturn U.S. women's federally protected right to abortion. And this move would hand the issue of abortion rights over to individual U.S. states, many of which are planning to ban the procedure, right? So many, meaning so far there's going to be at least 13 of them banning the procedure, which they can go to another state that does it. And the court's final ruling is expected in June. So the leaked document penned by conservative Justice Alito called the 1973 Roe v. Wade decision, which legalized abortion across the U.S., egregiously wrong from the start. Meanwhile, vandals set fire on Sunday morning to the headquarters of Wisconsin Family Action, an anti-abortion group, in what police called a targeted attack. A message was sprayed painted outside the building: "If abortions aren't safe, then you aren't either." So a Molotov cocktail was thrown into the building. It's kind of ridiculous because you only see the extremes of the right and left is the only ones doing vandalism and, violence and such. It's really unfortunate that this is happening here. And, a nonprofit organization in Texas that provides pregnant women with free health assistance and encourages them not to get abortions was also targeted by spray paint over the weekend. And according to the Denton Record Chronicle, the words "not a clinic" and "forced birth is murder" were daubed outside the entrance. So if Roe v. Wade is overturned, a ban on almost all abortions would go into effect in 13 states straight away, with others expected to follow. Abortion would still be legal in around half of the U.S. states, it is forecast. Lawmakers in New York announced new legislation to expand abortion access on Monday. Several other left-leaning states have taken similar actions. New York also said it plans to offer funding to groups that help people travel to the state for abortions. Both pro and anti-abortion protesters have rallied at the steps of the Supreme Court in Washington, D.C. since the leak. Now, in scenes reminiscent of the unrest following the attack at the U.S. Capitol last year, 8-foot-high fencing has been erected around the building. So, yeah, it's quite unfortunate. And, of course, if the whole world was in Providence, of course, none of this would happen. But also, we need to understand that everyone has free will. People, there's no need to argue over this with people saying, oh, there shouldn't be abortion. Oh, it's just kind of what you believe. And if I believe, I'm not going to do it. Right? And if someone else makes the choice to do it, that's their choice. It is, right? Technically, it's their choice. Like, for us, if it was our world, like, we have to think about it from a very reasonable point of view is, if the whole world was in Providence, if the whole world was believed in God, of course, it wouldn't be like this. But because the whole world isn't, and there's free choice, and you can see God isn't stopping it, right? Because people have free choice. We need to respect people's decisions. So I hope that no one's really getting into arguments over this, because there's no need to. It's just we, at least as people of this history, need to understand this really correctly more than anything else. Okay, so that is the top 3 news around the world. So let's get into some sporting news. Let's look at the NBA playoffs. We had 2 games on the slate yesterday. We had the Boston Celtics defeating the Milwaukee Bucks 116-108. I actually thought Milwaukee was going to win. The series is now tied at 2-2. Jason Tatum, 30 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists. Giannis Antetokounmpo had 34 points, 18 rebounds, and 5 assists in a losing effort. Also, Golden State Warriors defeat the Memphis Grizzlies 101-98, and they're leading the series 3-1. So it looks like they'll close out the series probably next game. Memphis still without Ja Morant, their best player, and Steph Curry had 32 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, and 18 of those points came in the fourth quarter. NHL playoffs. Also pretty exciting. Pittsburgh Penguins, that was probably one of my favorite teams as I was growing up. They defeat the New York Rangers 7-2. They are winning the series 3-1. Sidney Crosby, 1 goal and 2 assists. Florida Panthers defeat the Washington Capitals 3-2. That series is tied at 2-2. Calgary defeats Dallas 4-1. That series is also tied at 2-2. And the Colorado Avalanche destroy the Nashville Predators 5-3. And that is a sweep. And that's 4-0. And Colorado is moving on. And they were like the number 1 team in the Western Conference. Last but not least, some crazy news in soccer. One of the biggest trades of the season. Everyone's gunning for this one guy. His name is Erling Haaland from Borussia Dortmund. He's from the German Bundesliga. He's a striker, 41 goals in 41 games, and he has now officially been traded to Manchester City. Yes, Manchester City now got this amazing striker. He's going to be paid over like $420,000 per week. Yeah, he's getting paid that much. But Borussia Dortmund, they weren't done there yet. After they let go of Haaland, they signed a German star, Karim Adeyemi, from FC Salzburg after Haaland's departure. And this was announced hours after Man City confirmed they agreed to signing Haaland. Adeyemi, great news, is only 20 years old. They also signed Niklas Süle, joining on free transfer from Bayern Munich, and Nico Schlotterbeck, arriving on a fee of €26 million from Freiburg. In also UCL news, in Champions League news, clubs and leagues have agreed to a revision for the expanded Champions League format, increasing the number of group stage matches to 8. More teams will be included, from 32 to 36 teams from 2024, and this will now be voted on by the executive committee. So the 2 extra places in the expanded format would be awarded to the 2 countries with the highest UEFA ranking based on their team's results in EU competitions the previous season. And if this happens, if it happened this year, then the EPL and Netherlands will all get a new bid each, right? Which means EPL would get 5 and the Netherlands would get 2. They would get an extra over there. So that's the news we have in sports, top 3 news, and also world news. Hope you guys really, really enjoyed that. Everyone have an amazing, I hope that you guys will take all this into account as we go through our prayers, all right? Which means it's time for the amazing golden time. Yes, it's a time of praise and worship to the Holy Trinity. We will start off with the first song, Fire, It's Fire, and then Pray at All Times, a new song that just came out for IETT, and then, of course, What Faith Has Given Me, the English version. Hope you guys, all of us, let's just focus our hearts, give praise and worship to the Holy Trinity, and I pray that all of us as one body of the Morning Star Drive will give glory at this time.
How you turn this world upside down?
Fire, fire, fire! Boldly shout it aloud! Fire, fire, fire! Shout it cool and proud!
The time's come, we were waiting.
Waiting
The Savior's light is shining on us.
on us!
We're a witness to the word. We're a witness to the Lord. We will preach about this time.
Let's run together to the next level!
We are the only one. There is only one true history, God's word of truth. We are the only one. Our voice is only growing louder. It's the best history. We're burning with the Holy Spirit's fire. We know the power of truth. Shout it out. Now we turn the world upside down.
We are on fire!
What is fire?
We are on fire! With the new word of the times, cover the whole world. All the deceit and lies will be destroyed, burned. The Lord has come to bring fire on earth, that He's wishing at it. We're already kindled. This bringing history, the complete history. What we need right now is to preach this history. The word of fire, spirit of fire. Love is on fire, with a fire, fire, fire. Fire, fire, fire. Boldly shout it aloud. Fire, fire, fire. Shout it cool and proud.
We are the only one. There is only one true history, God's word of truth. We are the only one. Our voice is only growing louder. It's the best history. We're burning with the Holy Spirit's fire. We know the power of truth. Shout it out.
Fiery Holy Spirit, fiery testify.
We're burning with the Holy Spirit's fire. We know the power of truth. Shout it out. Now we turn the world upside down.
We are on fire.
What is fire?
Hot, hot.
Spirit fire.
We are on fire.
What is fire?
Hot, hot.
Preach with fire. Fire, fire, fire. What is fire?
Hot, hot.
Spirit fire.
We are on fire.
What is fire?
Hot.
Preach with fire. Fire, fire, fire. Pray at all times. We must pray. Pray at all times. Pray at all times. We must pray. Pray at all times. In our lives, at times we feel anxiety. Everyone goes through hardships. Everyone has worries. They rise and fall just like crashing waves. God has said, this is the solution. You must all pray. Pray without ending. If you want to talk, come and talk to me. That's what God said. Pray at all times.
God has said we should tell him what's in our hearts. How tremendous, that's so great. You and I both, we should say exactly what we must once the time is gone. Just like the sun sets over western hills, pitch darkness will come upon you quickly. Therefore, that pray at all times. We must pray, pray at all times. Pray at all times. We must pray, pray at all times. We must all pray. We must all
I am more certain and certain now. My faith is stronger and stronger now. The more and more I realize this history of God, I am more certain and certain now. I am more certain and certain now. My faith is stronger and stronger now. The more
comes my way. Whatever may happen, I'll never waver again. My faith will grow stronger each day. I'll never waver again. My faith will grow stronger each day. My faith will grow stronger each day. My faith will grow stronger each day.
And there it is. That is What Faith Has Given Me. Before that, Pray at All Times. It's a new song that we just played for the first time. And of course, Fire, It's Fire. All right, so I hope that you guys enjoyed that time of giving praise and worship to the Holy Trinity, a time to give glory. And I hope that your hearts are ready to listen to the word study for today. And of course, every single Wednesday, we do have the Tuesday Proverbs word study. And I do think something that's important for all of us to do, to look deeper into the words that we've been given, answering questions in our thoughts too. And sometimes it may not have to do with the word. Like this first proverb today, my observations on it, or when I was listening to it, it was a little bit different because I was like, oh, I couldn't really grasp what it was actually saying because of the way it was worded. Right? So sometimes the wording does make a difference too, because it kind of puts the emphasis in a place that may not need to be there. But for me, I'm not sure about other languages. In English, it sounded a little bit, it was a little bit confusing, right? But you guys can tell me if you went through that, if you kind of felt that same thing too. So let's go into the 6 different Proverbs we received for the Tuesday Proverbs. And we're going to start off with number 1 is, even if so many people on the earth pray to God, he helps all of them and protects their lives when he receives their prayers. Now, the reason why this one was so weird for me, because in English, when it says, even if, right? So it means that it feels like the second part is going to be a negative to it, right? And it says, the way it's written is like, even if so many da-da-da-da-da, which kind of makes it sound like there's a but statement. Like there's so many, but God will only answer a few kind of thing, right? And that's kind of the feeling that when I was listening to it, like, oh, what does that mean? Even if this many people pray, God answers all of them. It for me, at the beginning, was a little bit confusing, but the original, when I was reading the Korean and trying to understand a little bit better, the original feeling is there are billions and billions of people all praying to God. And then the next statement is, but the feeling is, but God is so powerful and almighty that he can answer and help all of them. Okay, so that's kind of what the feeling's supposed to be, but the way it was written is kind of hard for me in the beginning. Like, what? Like, what does that mean? Like, even if so many people on the earth pray to God, he helps all of them and protects their lives when he receives their prayers, right? So I think the even is, I think that kind of threw me off a bit, but I'm not sure about you guys, but the original feeling is more of, there are so many people, billions of people praying to God every single day, and God, the almighty God, has the power to help and answer every single one of them, right? So it's more of a statement of showing the power of God, how powerful God really is, and that even if a trillion or a quadrillion number of people are praying and asking God for help, he can still help all of them. So many people, so many requests, so many tears, so much pleading and sincerity, but God, he can help them all because that is how powerful he is. So I don't know. You guys can tell me in the comments below if you also kind of had that, it was kind of weird at the beginning, like, oh, what does that mean? But I was kind of reading it more and more. It's like, oh, this is what it's getting at. Like, I never got that feeling of, wow, God is so powerful from the first reading of the Predon. But after reading it and looking at it more and more, I was like, oh, this is what it means. And I think this is something that's important for us too, because sometimes we'll hear the reading and we may misunderstand it first. Right? Like, what does that mean? But we need to keep looking at it over and over again to understand, that's what the scripture is actually trying to say. So that's one thing I thought was really, that I had to read over and over before it finally clicked in my head. Okay? Number 2, you get nervous, worried, and even fearful when meeting the king of a nation. While that's the case, you don't even get nervous during prayer time. The time when you are meeting God Almighty, who is 10 billion times greater than a king. Instead, You think of it as ordinary, and you don't even treat it preciously or valuably. That is why God treats each person in secret only at the level they treat him. Right? So there's probably like three parts to this. The first part is when we come before a king of a nation, how nervous and worried and even fearful we get. And then the second part is, but look at God. God is 10 billion times greater, but you treat it in an invaluable way, or like you treat it like not valuably. And then the third part is, because we're like that to God, that is why he treats each person in secret only at the level they treat him, right? When people don't treat him as he should be treated. And this is why he has to treat each person in secret only at the level they treat him. And this is interesting because it reminds me of a proverb that, it wasn't even a proverb. It's in one of the messages, probably from like 20 years ago, when Sunseam said, God is a mirror. So it says, when you look in a mirror, if you smile, then the mirror smiles back. If you are happy, the mirror shows a happy face. If you are sad, it shows a sad face. And what Sunseam said, it's a mirror. God reacts and responds according to our actions and our love. So in one sense, it says, if you don't feel God's love, it's probably because you don't give that much love. So sometimes like God is fair and he's just. If you love him 10%, if you love God 10%, then God will only show 10% love back to you. If you show 15, he'll show 15 because that is fair. That is just. And when I was listening to this proverb, it was like, oh, that's so true. And because people don't treat God valuably, this is why he has no choice but to treat each person in secret according to their level. Now, if the whole world treated God so amazingly with, like being, oh my goodness, I'm about to meet God, then God can openly treat everyone properly. But since everyone doesn't do it, some people treat him 80%, some people treat him 60%, some people treat him 95%. That he has to, because he's fair, he has to treat everyone in secret, or people are going to be, people will start misunderstanding, go, oh, why do you do that for him and not for me, kind of thing. And we can see it in our own lives. In most of the times when we have these discussions with God, he treats us in a way in secret that only each of us can know, right? Like it's not obvious to other people. Things happen and we get inspired, but other people are like, whoa, what happened? What just happened, right? Feelings, inspirations, or things that only we know. Like you see a certain number pop up or a shape in a cloud or natural revelation. And when we see it, it's so secret that only we see it and no one else is like shook by it except us. It affects us at a personal level. So when I think about that, it's like, that's kind of sad though, right? Because God has to do it in secret because people don't treat him and don't realize the value and how precious it is to meet with God, right? So in a sense, it is kind of a sad thing that if the whole, even of all of Providence did that, we would be able to see it in a much easier way also. Number 3 says, you cannot see the omnipotent, omniscient God even once in your lifetime. Sometimes he reveals himself. Sometimes he revealed himself and met only one human being in 1600 years. Even at that time, he did not show his body directly, but appeared in secret before Noah, a man who served God with all his heart. Now, I never thought about it that way. When, God revealed himself to only one person after 1600 years, right? And then again to Abraham 400 years later. And if you think about that too, on top of it, even when he met, from that point on, it was Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He started meeting people more, continuously. Even then, it was only to one person, which was the man of mission for each of those time periods. So the only way we're able to meet God was through the one that God sent, right? And it's kind of shocking to think about that. Like, yeah, we haven't seen him even in our life. Like people won't see him once in their lifetime. And God is so, like, sometimes the scarcity of God is after 1600 years, only one person will see him. And even when it was continuous history, it was one person at a time, right? Which leads to the next proverb where it says, in this time period, God says to us, pray until you meet God, and has allowed us to meet him through prayer, right? God has allowed us to meet him through prayer. God is meeting us right now. So 3 was telling us how scarce, how hard it is to meet with God. And then Proverb 4 says, but you are meeting with God now. So pray until you meet with God. And it helps me it really made me think about, wow, this is the level of the complete Testament brides. We are like the central figures in the Bible, where in the past it was 1600 years, 400 years, only one person was able to meet with God. But God is telling us right now, you can meet with God. We are at that level, right? And why are we at that level? It's Proverb 5. Now is a time when a historical condition has been set. God showed himself to the one who has set the condition and told him that he would meet us when we pray and converse with him. So number 3, remember, Proverb 3 is, it is so hard to meet with God. Number 4 is, we are meeting with God right now. And Proverb 5 is, do you know why you're meeting with God? This is all possible because of the man and mission of this time. This historical condition was set by son's name 200 days, 3 times a day, never missing a time. Historical condition has been set. So just like the rapture, just like salvation, impossible without the condition of the Lord. And this is something we should really, really think deeply about. And this is a chance, guys. Pray until we meet with God. You got to pray until we meet. And, number 6 just kind of wraps up everything. And he says, Proverbs 6 is like, if you meet the omnipotent, omniscient God, your fate completely changes. God shows himself to those who pray. Right? If you meet the omnipotent, omniscient God, your fate completely changes. God shows himself to those who pray. This is the time when we meet with God. It is life-changing. And now the condition has been set, so we got to pray, just got to pray. God shows himself to those who pray. Pray until you meet. This is the power of prayer. This is the time right now to meet with God, to change your destiny, to meet with God. Something that only happened 1,600 years, one person, but it's happening right now at this time. And, it's, when you think about it, it's really shocking when you hear these types of proverbs. Like, you should feel it in your heart right now, reverberating like, wow, this is the time we're living in right now. Like, even for me, like listening to Proverbs in the mornings and stuff like that, if people are just repeating the Proverbs, then there's no need for them to preach. If they're just repeating it, because that means I can just read it on my own. It's about us really diving deep into it and just, putting out those questions and those thoughts that make people say, yeah, this is so incredible and amazing. And I do think this is something that we have to really be able to train. The head leaders have to be training to understand, how am I supposed to do this? How can I go over these Proverbs in a way and just, not making it like 40 minutes or anything like that. It's only 6 Proverbs. But we can make it in a way where people say, this is incredible, what we just heard this morning. And it will inspire us to pray even more, right? So I hope this word study helps you guys out with the Tuesday morning Proverbs. Write in the comments below what you guys thought about the Proverbs today. For me, I was really inspired by, just thinking about it a little bit more deeply. I was really inspired by the Proverbs, especially from 3 to 6. Or was it 2 to 6? 3 to 6, I think, was the ones that is crazy what the Proverbs were saying today. And they were very connected and fluid too, either way. So that is the word study for today. Hope you guys really, really enjoyed that as I did. I'm inspired right now after going over that part too. Okay, so that leads us into the song of choice for today, and we're going to get into today's Wednesdays is always the English songs, and we have a request from Catherine Zapata, and she requests a song that she really thinks is fitting of the time we're living in right now, what we're going through this time of prayer. And it's from Chaka Khan. We're talking about songs from the 80s. So I'm not sure how old Catherine is, but this is an old school song. This is Chaka Khan with Through the Fire. Great song. Hope you guys enjoy this, everyone. Once again, this is a request from Catherine Zapata, and this is Chaka Khan with Through the Fire.
In your eyes and I can see you've loved so dangerously. You're not trusting your heart to anyone. wanna play it smart. We're through before we start, but I believe that we've only just begun. When it's this good, there's no saying no. I want you so I'm ready to go. Through the fire, to the limit, to the wall. For a chance to be with you, I'd gladly risk it all. Through the fire, through whatever comes what may. For a chance at loving you, I'd take it all away. Right down to the wire, even through the I know you're afraid of what you feel. You still need time to heal, and I can help if you'll only let me try. You touched me and something in me knew what I could have with you. Now I'm not ready to kiss that dream goodbye. When it's this sweet, there's no saying no. I need you so I'm ready to go. Through the fire, to the limit, to the wall. For a chance to be with you, I'd gladly risk it all. Through the fire, through whatever comes what may. For a chance at loving you, I'd take it all away. Right down to the wire, even through the fire. Through the test of time. Through the fire, through the limit, to the wall. For the chance to be with you, I'd gladly risk it all. Through the fire, through whatever comes what may. For a chance at loving you, I'd take it all away. Right down to the wire, even through the
And that was Chaka Khan, Through the Fire. That's a great request from Catherine Zapata. Thank you so much for that request. I'm thankful you. That's a great song. And yeah, when you listen to the lyrics, it really is about the time we're going through right now. Hope you guys really enjoyed that song from the 80s. All right. So we are getting into the final segment for today on today's podcast. And we all know, we all look forward to it. This is Danny's Money. He's going to talk about his financial journey for him to become financially independent. But this is so amazing and awesome because he's a senior in high school, hasn't even gone to university yet. He'll be going over to Houston for his college years. So please, everyone, welcome Daniel Baker. He's over there in Korea, soon to be in Houston with Danny's Money.
Hello everyone, welcome to your favorite podcast segment, Danny's Money. Today we're going to talk about another entrepreneur and the type of lessons we can learn from his story. Today we're going to talk about a very wealthy and famous person. He's the current second wealthiest person in the world, behind Elon Musk, of course, and his name is Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is an American entrepreneur who is worth $140 billion as of May 2022. He is the founder, owner, and former CEO of Amazon. Now, Jeff Bezos has been getting a lot of bad press these past couple years because during the coronavirus pandemic, his net worth almost increased by $20 billion. This sudden increase in his net worth was because the coronavirus. During the coronavirus times, people would stay inside more, and they used the internet to buy most of their stuff on Amazon, right? That's why a lot of people were saying, oh, you're profiting off people who got coronavirus. You should be ashamed of yourself. And then that's what happened. That's why he got a lot of bad press. If you were able to pick a couple success stories and fulfillments of the American dream, Jeff Bezos would be one of those people, because he is the story of a broke man becoming a multi-billionaire, a mega billionaire. So let's see what kind of experiences he's had in the past. Jeff Bezos was born in New Mexico, Albuquerque, and he worked at McDonald's during his high school years. Sounds kind of like me. I'm doing just 4 hours of work a day at a local business. Sounds like me. Ooh, maybe I can be a multi-billionaire. And during his high school years, he attended a student science program at the University of Florida. He was a high school valedictorian and a National Merit Scholar. Then he went to and graduated from Princeton University. So after graduating from college, he got a lot of job offers from big companies. However, he did not take those positions. He took a position in a startup company. And this could have changed the story of Jeff Bezos, in my opinion. If he went to a major corporation, and he may have become a person of high position, but he may have not been a CEO of that company. However, being part of the startup companies, he was able to have that kind of small business feeling, and that's why I think he went on to make Amazon. This small little business, we're going to talk about Amazon in a second, became a almost a mega corporation by itself. Now, the story of Amazon is absolutely fascinating. In late 1933, Bezos and his wife left their jobs and created Amazon. Can you guys guess how he wrote his business plan? He wrote his business plan on a cross-country drive from New York to Seattle. Now, that is amazing. Just to think of you making a business plan for a multi-billion million-dollar company to me, it's just fascinating. And funnily, he actually set up his company near San Francisco inside an Indian reservation to avoid some taxes. He knew that there was a good chance Amazon was not going to succeed. That's why he warned his early investors that there's around 70% chance that Amazon would go bankrupt and fail. However, after 3 years, Amazon was founded. Bezos took it public with the IPO, and the company became larger and larger and expanded very rapidly. Now, during an interview I saw from Jeff Bezos, he said that he saw that there was a 2,300% increase in web usage each year, and this was like 1994. And he said this was a very different age. It was very hard to get on the internet, but by each year, many more people were using the internet. So he saw this and he saw an opportunity for something to be there, right? And he realized that he can make the Earth's biggest selection of books. He realized that it was possible to make a bookstore, and it could be the largest bookstore on Earth because it's on the internet. He said that there's a problem with conventional bookstores. Conventional bookstores might only have 150,000 different books. Consumers will have problems because they're trying to find a specific book, but majority of the times they will not carry that. So Amazon was built for people to find hard to find books. That it's kind of crazy how that was the original idea for it to be like a huge bookstore. However, it became a bookstore and much more, right? During his interview, he said, "When pursuing your passions, the risks do not seem what they truly are. I knew that there was a good chance that I would fail." Now, he said that a very rare idea can be done by a single individual, but you need a team to get that idea to work. Amazon was not built by Jeff Bezos himself. Jeff Bezos took a very good idea and put it to work. He put it to work by making a team. You need to know how to get good help from people around you and hire good people. Now let's think about the intellectual property of Amazon. What is the most valuable thing about Amazon? Many people might say the distribution system. Many people might say the actual code, the actual hardware. However, Jeff Bezos said it's actually the name, the brand name Amazon. Brands for companies are like reputations. Reputation is hard-earned and easily lost. I'm going to quickly talk about Amazon Fulfillment Center. Amazon's Fulfillment Center is such an interesting thing because it lets other companies use Amazon's service to help their own customers. Now, let's talk about being different from your competitors, because that's a big thing in entrepreneurship, right? Jeff Bezos said it is very easy to be different from your competitors. However, making it different and better is difficult, because a lot of time and a lot of effort goes into making something better. Like, there's a lot of solutions to a problem, but the solutions can get better. It is very easy to have ideas, but it is very difficult to take that idea and create it into a successful product and a better product than your opponents or than your competition. Now, the thing we should realize from Jeff Bezos' case is that you can have a really good idea, and if you follow a trend and follow some big wave of improvement, then your company can succeed very well. During studying about Jeff Bezos, I really realized that the importance of having a brand and the reputation behind your brand, and how important that impacts your growth of a company. I hope you guys learned a lot from this episode of Danny's Money. I hope you guys have a nice rest of the week with the Lord. Peace out, guys. Bye-bye.
And there it is. Thank you so much to Daniel Baker over there in Korea right now. Such amazing effort he's putting in, and I love these spotlights he's doing on these really major investors and business moguls. A lot that we're learning just from hearing what they do. And you can translate a lot of these things even into your spiritual life, of how the mentality needs to be done and how you need to become super successful in whatever you do. So thank you once again. That was another awesome segment of Danny's Money. I think he's almost at 30 episodes, which means that's 30 weeks. He's been doing an awesome job, even while applying for colleges and making his decisions. Great job to him. If you have any comments for him, please leave it below, and he'll definitely read those, okay? So that means we're at the end of today's podcast. I hope you guys had an amazing and awesome day. Have an amazing service tonight. Make sure you pray for your head leaders or your leaders that are preaching, and make sure you praise them and compliment them also, right? So everyone have a wonderful and awesome Wednesday, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly, so let's realign. Just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, I'm on the Morning Star Drive,